So we are out of executive session, and we'll continue on with the agenda. The next item on the agenda is the minutes from November 18, 2025. Is there a motion?
Move to approve, subject to modification.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Going through page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Hearing no modifications, all those in favor say aye.
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 Are there any nays? I abstain.
I was going to abstain because I wasn't there. I did watch it, and it seems like, I did watch it online. It seems like a fair
Okay,
review, so I voted yes.
okay, great. Okay, so that would be that.
Is Mike on?
That's a good question.
Yeah,
Oh,
there he is.
There's Mike.
Hello, Mike. So next on the agenda is public comment. This would be a chance for people in the public to make any comment that they wish. It can be something that is on the agenda. It does not have to be. If it is something on the agenda, you may wish to wait until it comes up, but you do not have to. If you do make a public comment, I would ask if you can keep your comment to about 2 or 3 minutes. So is there anybody in the room that wishes to make a public comment? Seeing no hands, is there anybody online, Eric?
Nope, not seeing anyone online.
Okay, that would bring us next to the volunteer interviews, the significant crowd of volunteer interviews that we have. So, how many of you are here to interview? Can I see a show of hands? Okay. Wondering if you can all come up to the table at the same time, probably bring an extra chair or two.
I've got one person online,
Okay.
and I'll connect
Yep.
Jim. Oh, looks like I have to have you rejoin on.
You're going to have to come around to the table. There's a couple seats because they won't.
Yeah, actually,
the
guys,
mic won't-
those
yeah.
two seats, you should
You can
probably
sit
use
there,
those.
yeah.
Somebody should use the nice chairs.
Yeah.
Yeah, just push that pad, yeah, and then somebody sit there.
So actually, yeah, could somebody sit in the, fill all the chairs? Okay, thanks.
I've got one person online. Ted, I'll get him.
Okay.
Jim, I'll get you connected online. I knew you were going to join over Zoom just a second here. I'll make you a panelist. You can share your screen and your audio.
So is he up and running? Okay. So welcome, everybody. Thank you very much, and thank you so much for your interest in volunteering for these boards. I think if we could just go through and ask everybody to just introduce themselves by name, and then I'll have another comment, another thing to cover. So if we can go down the line. Hi.
And Christine Campbell, Kate Schneider.
Dixie Fowler.
Hi. And Jim, are you online? Oh, I think you're muted.
Okay, yeah, I was muted.
Okay.
Yes, I'm Jim Brislara.
Great. So we have a number of applicants, obviously, for a very varied positions. So I think what I'd like to do is, there's a question that's kind of devolved to me that I try to ask. It's probably a bit unpleasant. That's why I try to get it out of the way at first. But let me ask each of you collectively, and it's actually not an unpleasant thing to answer. It's just an unpleasant thing to even consider. But in a small town, not that Williston is as small as it used to be, but we're still relatively small. It is entirely possible to get a conflict of interest between somebody who's on a board and the subject matter that the board is covering. So if I could just go down the line, it's a two-part question. What would you do to try to recognize a conflict of interest where it might not be appropriate for you to take action? And secondly, what would you do if you did recognize a conflict of interest? So we'll start with that, and then we'll get into the substance of it, so of your application. So, Tim?
I recuse myself.
Okay.
Your other question was, how would you tell?
Yeah.
Well, if it impacted myself or the company I work for.
Great.
I was looking at, I think this, you understand that there's a question or any sort of dubiousness to something, asks for advice from other people on your committee, if there's any kind of question. I serve on the foundation board and I have to sign a conflict of interest form. I'm familiar with those sort of things, so, you know, I have to sign family documentation or whatever, sort of thing like that, so I'm familiar with it, and I would ask advice if I wasn't sure, and certainly recuse or just step out from anything that's on the case.
I don't believe that microphone is on.
Oh, it's not.
Just tap the bottom part and the red light.
There you go.
There, you did.
Yep, okay.
Thank you.
Well, I'm retired, so I don't represent any company. I do not represent any organization that I know of that would bring issues to the select board or conflict of interest. Obviously, there are entities in town that I personally support, like a food bank, but this is not to me a conflict of interest. Should one ever arise, I would immediately recuse myself. Having worked for government a long time, I know how important that is.
And Jim? Oh, I think you're muted again.
Yes, I muted myself because I wanted to make sure that any background noise wasn't coming through. If I thought it was a conflict of interest, I would absolutely recuse myself from it. Me also, I am recently retired, so now I actually have time to to do things that I've wanted to do that I couldn't do in the past because I didn't have time. So.
I mean,
So-
just to follow up, just because I'm not sure I heard it, but the problem with the small town problem is that it might be a neighbor who comes before your board. It doesn't have to be a financial interest, and I would just urge you to err on the side of caution. You know, even if it's just like, I don't feel it's going to be a conflict of interest, but I want the committee to know that this may be, others might. They'll help you decide if you should stay or not.
So next, I'd ask if you can, again, we'll just, maybe we can go in reverse, start with Jim and then head from my right to my left. And ask if you just give a brief introduction of yourself, your background, and a number of you are asking to possibly be considered for more than one position. So which position you are interested in and which one you would, I guess, which one you'd prefer if there are multiple ones. So Jim, if we can start with you.
Okay, my background, like I said, I'm retired now. My background is a broadcast engineer in television and media. So yeah, I've done everything from day-to-day support to working in the trenches and overseeing facility constructions from the ground up. With when I say ground up, I mean pouring concrete to completion. So I'm probably unlike several other people. I'm making an assumption here. I'm relatively new to the area. I've been here 4 or 5 years now, and this is my home. So I'm a transplant, and just to cycle back a little bit about a request, maybe one of your neighbors. I was actually on the Chelsea Commons board, and I was voted off because somebody else wanted to do it this year. But I am well aware of the consequences of a neighbor or somebody that wanting or asking for something, and how you have to tactfully address it or hand it off to somebody else because it's something that you really can't address yourself without bias.
I have lived in Williston since 2012. We've been in Vermont since 1987. We moved from Washington State to Vermont. All our family ended up on the East Coast, even though I'm a Midwestern girl originally. My husband is from the East. And so we decided it would be good to make a move here. We came here on our honeymoon many, many years ago, and I did not want to leave. It took us a while, but we got here. Anyway, we lived in the St. Albans area, then we moved to Brattleboro, and in 2012 we came up here, and we intend to stay here. We've already got our plots purchased at the cemetery, so not planning to go any further. I am interested in the position on the Community Justice Center Advisory Council Board. I did a little bit of this when I was in St. Albans in the late 80s, early 90s. They had a similar program. I think that you have a rather lengthy resume from me. I'm sorry, I know it's supposed to be very short. I wrote that one a very long time ago, in the late 80s, and sort of just regurgitated my career onto paper. My husband said I erred because I actually worked after that resume. When I left my position in St. Albans in 1992, I went to work with my husband, looking for a total change. I was 50 years old, and when they found out I was leaving my position, I got a call from the local newspaper, and they said, "Why are you leaving?" And I said, "Well, the way it is now, my husband goes to New Zealand and I go to jail. My husband goes to Switzerland and I go to jail." I was working at the correctional facility in St. Albans. And so for the last 18 years of my career, really until 2010, I was working with my husband in his company, and we planned and delivered tours by train all over the world, which was a total change. It was my third of my life. The first third is education, second third is public service, the third is fun times. So I have been actually retired since 2010. My interest in the board is, as you can tell if you looked at my resume, I have seen this issue from a lot of sides. I have taught in an inner city school. I have been staff in a community college in the inner city. I have been a police officer. I have been an administrator. I have worked in personnel. I have done EEOC. And I have worked in corrections departments in 3 different states. Colorado, Washington State, and Vermont, total of 16 years. I do not wish to see anybody coming in that door that doesn't have to. And I sat in this afternoon just to observe a panel doing an intake and an outgo, if you would, of two people. And you want to feel that you can make a difference in the community. And I think feeling safe and secure in your community, whatever its size, is very important. And I think this is a program that can help do that.
Great.
I have a Christine and a Chris, and I know you're one of you each.
I go by both. I'm not sure which one. I'm Christine Campbell.
Okay.
And I'm Kate Schneider.
Oh, Kate Schneider, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have Chris on the list, but he's not here.
Okay, got it.
So I'm interested in the Housing Committee vacancy. And my path to that started last year when I started attending Erin and Angela's sessions that they were doing just open to the public at the library. And the topic sort of kept coming up. And then there was a little session that we had at the library again that had to do with, we had the gal from the VHFA came and spoke, and there just been a few other things that came up, and the topic just seemed to very much coalesce in my mind as an intersection of a lot of things. It's economic development, social equity, land use, conservation. It's just, a lot of things just for me coalesce into housing, affordability, et cetera. So it's just felt like this little tiny way that I could put my big toe into the community service. And I know there's a need, and we just kind of all need to step up at this time in our history. So I thought I would put myself out there. My background, I also feel like I have a little bit of a variety of experience. I've lived from Brooklyn to Calais, Vermont. So really the whole spectrum. And I've been lucky enough to be in Williston for 25 years, so I do have a lot of experience and see the town grow and change over that period. I raised my kid here in the schools. And I feel like there's one of the other things I feel about Williston right now, or what we want to do, and things like the housing fund, some things like that that are going on in the housing committee specifically right now, are that we have a lot of retail, and we're sort of that space for at least Chittenden County. But I think it's also true that a lot of the people that live in, or I'm sorry, that work and support us through those retail establishments can't afford to live here in Williston. I just think that's kind of an interesting observation about our town. So just interested in learning a little bit more about it and how we can use the housing fund to help folks that might be in a situation, and how to get the word out about that. I've been reading the minutes of the committee for the last year, and while we've got the money, we didn't really actually have an opportunity to dispense it so much this past year, so how to help with that. So as a person, I'm self-employed, have been for many, many years. I started one particular company, and that became very successful, and I sort of launched that off into its own land and started another one, and that's what I still do now, which is basically software development, small, bespoke desktop database work for small to medium-sized companies. So it makes me sort of a systems person, problem-solving type person, and really enjoy that work. Not really looking to retire yet, so I am still working on the daily. I think that's probably it.
Great, thanks.
Thank
Okay.
Hey, I'm Christine Campbell. Thank you for your time. I'm primarily interested in the health officer position, and which I initially thought was actually a board, and then I realized after talking with Mr. Terry that it's not, but I can tell you a little bit about my background. I really was just interested in connecting more to my community. I literally just bought a house here in Williston like 3 weeks ago, but we knew we were moving here when I saw the requests for volunteers pop up, and we moved to Vermont a few years ago, and we've been renting, so we've been a little bit displaced. And so with this home, I really wanted to grow roots into my community, and the way we had before we moved. And so I put my name in there for like 4 different things, and Ms. Dickinson said that I had to pick. So I really, I'm here to like serve in a way that where I'm needed, and I think the health position is probably the one I can help most with. However, if you all feel that I can be helpful somewhere else, I'm also open to that. We'd also talked about the regional planning committee as another alternative, but my background is that I'm from the South, but I went to Dartmouth undergraduate. I got my master's in public health and went to medical school. I've been a pediatric emergency medicine doctor for many years now, and that's what my job brought me to UVM, and that's what I do at UVM and is in my employment. My niche areas within healthcare have been quality improvement, child injury, those kinds of things. So, and I did practice with my old town. I worked on our COVID commission, where we helped with helping schools and primarily schools, but other organizations, how we addressed with COVID, masking and social distancing and those kinds of things. So anyway, I spoke with Mr. Terry, and it seemed like he's eager to have some help, I think. So anyway, if I can help with that capacity or any other, I'd be helpful. Happy to do so, and if you have any questions more, I can answer any of those.
Great, thanks.
I'm Tim Ross. I'm applying for the Environmental and Conservation Committee.
Yep, thank you.
Oh, thanks. I've lived in Vermont my whole life, save a couple of years in New York. Recently moved here with my wife a couple of years ago from central Vermont. I work at a bank up here, Union Bank up in Finney Crossing. Been a banker for my whole life, since I graduated anyway, about 34 years. And I'd like to think that I could add some value to the commission. My wife and I are avid users of the natural resources here, and I'd like to see them protected. And be a good steward of the land and so forth.
Great. Questions from the board?
My question actually is specific to Dixie because it's, the position that you've applied for is the WCJC Advisory Committee. So you, I want to make sure that you're understanding that currently they're investigating ways with Burlington will be administering the fund. And so this committee is specifically figuring out how to combine, and there is a kind of term limit on that. Theoretically, it's June 2026. Okay, so just wanted to make sure. Hopefully, we will retain some sort of, boards here in town, but as long as you're aware of that, so.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I know that they passed the law, I think, in 2024, but they didn't fund it. Governments always do that, whether they're state or federal. And it looks like also, I know the steering committee has been meeting since, I'm not sure when, but I think at the meeting I met you, Mr. Wells, was the first meeting of the advisory board.
Yep, that's correct.
And the deadline is June 30. I'm used to working with very tight deadlines, and that's why I thought I might be helpful. But yes, I'm aware it ends on June 30.
Okay.
Other questions from the board?
It's exciting to have so many people who want to step up. It's great for the future of the town. This may be a little irregular, but if the health officer position is like an on-call thing, right? Like, yeah. You don't have to make a decision now, but it would be really interesting if you would consider doing the CCRPC alternate in addition, because that would be a regular monthly meeting. But I'm not going to ask you. You can come back and we'll, but because that would be, since you're interested in everything, it sounds like a great fit. So.
Yeah, I think I'm the alternate health officer right now, or
Yep.
You're the alternate?
acting?
Yeah,
health
Terry
officer?
McCaig is the primary position.
Yeah.
He's held for several decades in the town, and you're
Yeah.
the deputy health officer. You can have additional deputy health officers as well.
Yeah, okay, I'd gladly give that up.
But
But I gotta tell you, being deputy health officer it's just not a lot of work. So,
But it is a 20-year term, so.
Wait.
I was the registered agent for the town of Richmond when I lived in Richmond, and I never had anything to do ever not once. So, like, this is easy. Okay, other questions, or does that cover it for the board? Okay, great. Okay, so generally, what we will do and what is in the agenda tonight is we're going to move on to other items, and we were probably going to circle back. At this point, it's probably going to be around 9 o'clock when we get to the volunteer appointment and vote. So you're free to stay and watch the rest of the meeting. We won't hold it against you if you don't, because it's the fiscal year 2027 budget transmittal overview is exciting, but it might be a little too exciting for some. So it's okay if you want to avoid that kind of anxiety. But in any event, you're welcome to stay and hang out, or you're welcome to call it a night. It, again, doesn't mean anything for your
Don't feel obligated.
Yeah.
application. But I would say, again, on behalf of the board and myself personally, thank
And the
you
community.
very, very, very
Yes.
much. It really, being on a town board, you realize how much of the nuts and bolts of municipal government is run by the boards, and it's critically important to quality of life. So, thank you.
Thank you.
All very, very much. And Eric, you or whoever is head of the board or commission will contact them, let them know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Aaron.
Right. So Eric will be in touch, or Aaron will be
Yeah.
in touch.
Thank you.
Ted, for the next discussion, we had said maybe around 7:40, 7:45, so if you want to jump to another agenda item,
Yeah,
not the
let's-
budget one, but some of the the lister position.
Can we,
Glaser,
either lister position or manager's report, are the listers going to be here for that?
I think they were here last
They
time.
were
We
last
just
time.
wanted
Okay,
to
yeah,
hold
right.
off on the vote until,
Yeah.
because it was like just Ellie and me and Mike was
Yeah.
here and we were like, this feels like a bigger.
Okay, so let's go up to the lister, elimination of the elected lister positions, which is not nearly as controversial as might sound by title, but Eric, can you brief introduction?
Yep, I will say current lister, Terry McCaig is on Zoom. Not sure if Terry wants to speak to that item at all, but I'll queue up
Okay.
just where we were. It was discussed last meeting, staff brings forward consideration per the town charter to ask the voters to eliminate the office of elected lister at town meeting 2026. Memo was shared last meeting by Assistant Assessor Michaela Harton outlining this request. It's supported by the current 3 elected listers, and I'm seeking direction from the board whether you'd like to consider putting that question on the warning for March, and we can prepare it with the town attorney here over the next month.
Question from the board? Seems,
Yeah, we just didn't want to, I mean, we had another lister here last time, agreed, gave full support for the elimination of the listers. That's my understanding. Terry also gives his support for the elimination, but we just didn't want to
Yeah.
proceed unless we had,
okay,
yeah.
all right.
But I support it.
So I'll call for a motion, but I will say it's going the way of the weigher of coal and the fence viewers.
Fence viewers.
Fence viewers when I was growing up. Yeah.
Hey, Mike? Mike, you were
Yes.
at this meeting, and have any comments?
I agree, you know, the lister that was present and Michaela both, you know, mentioned that it's become a much more complicated job than it used to. We, you know, it would be helpful to have, you know, people who are more familiar with the formalities of the job to be, you know, part of it.
Okay.
Great, and I actually don't think we need a motion, we just need some consensus.
Sure enough. So, sounds like we have consensus?
Yes.
Okay. So that pretty much brings us to 740 for the old Creamery Road. So let's go to that. And Eric, again, if I could ask you to do a brief introduction.
Yeah, so this is you might recall the town has funding received through the CCRPC this fiscal year to take a look at Old Creamery Road for a traffic study and an overall study of the road. As part of that process, a local concerns meeting is held. That's what's on your agenda this evening. We'll have our consultant team and folks from Public Works here to lead that presentation. This is really to hear local concerns from the public as part of the process. There's no recommendations at this time. This is a first step in this process. So I'll turn it over to Bruce and consultant team, and I believe Nicole Fox is joining us. Nicole, I'll connect you, and Cy from the CCRPC, I'll connect both of you to join us via Zoom here.
Great. So, good evening.
My name's Brian Birch from Williston O'Neill, here with Nicole Fox, who's on the line.
Oh, tap the
Can you
mic.
tap the, yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Brian Birch from Williston O'Neill, here with Nicole Fox online, and we're here to give you an update on the Old Creamery Road traffic study, some of the comments we received through the survey, and take local concerns, local comments here tonight. And we have a quick slideshow to just give you an update on where we're at in the project that Nicole has, and we'll run you through, and then we'll open it up to the public. So, Eric, I don't know if it's easier for you to show the slideshow, or should Nicole share screen? And
I just made Nicole a presenter. Does that work okay for you, Nicole? I can also drive it on my end if that's easier.
Yeah, no, that is probably the best. Go. All right.
There we go.
How did I do? Is everything looking okay here?
Yep, we can see.
Great. All right. It will let me move forward. It is not. Give me 1 second. There we go. All right. Well, thank you very much. We're here to talk about the Old Creamery Road project. We have, just to define our project team from the town of Williston, we have Bruce Hoare, who's at the meeting, and Christine Doherty is working with us. Cy Sarapelli from Chittenden County Regional Planning Commission is also online. I am Nicole Fox. I'm the consultant project manager with Fuss & O'Neill. Our planner is George Cleavorn. Brian Birch is a senior engineer. He's there at the meeting. And then Jake Fowler and Jocelyn Gallo are the other engineers on the project. So this is a very brief presentation tonight. We've got a quick agenda here. We're going to review the project process, take a look at the project area, briefly discuss some existing conditions, and then really the whole goal of this meeting is really to gather feedback on issues, concerns, ideas that the community has on what they would like to see on Old Creamery Road. So this is sort of a rundown of the various steps and the schedule we're anticipating for the project. We just kicked off the project last month. We're here tonight to have our local concerns meeting. Following this meeting, we'll spend the next couple of months developing some alternatives to address the concerns that we hear tonight, as well as those. We have an online survey that has been remarkably well completed by the community. I believe that we have almost 70 responses before this meeting even started tonight, so which is excellent. We will come back we're anticipating coming back in February to present some alternatives and get feedback on those as well, and then wrap it up with final plans and a report in March. So it's a pretty quick project process, just trying to come up with some quick, easy to implement solutions for Old Creamery Road. So this is the project area with Old Creamery Road running between Vermont Route 2A and Oak Hill Road with I-89 just north, running parallel and just off the map here. There are a good number of residential neighborhoods that feed onto Old Creamery Road, which creates sort of a potential conflict between residential uses and folks wanting to be out and about in their neighborhood, and folks who are using Old Creamery Road to get from Oak Hill Road to 2A and back, and it's sort of as a bypass almost of 89. So a little background on the project. So at the request of the town of Williston, the Chittenden County Regional Planning Commission initiated this study. They contracted with us to investigate speed management to create safer roadway environment for all road users. Old Creamery Road is a Class 2 town highway and is functioning classified as a major collector. So as I mentioned, it's used as a connector between Vermont Route 2A, which is a minor arterial, and Oak Hill Road, which is also another major collector. And speeding on this road is a community concern. So the road has a posted speed limit of 35 miles an hour. However, the 85th percentile speed is 45 miles an hour, 10 miles over the posted speed limit. And for anyone who's wondering why we would have chosen the 85th percentile speed and not the average speed, this is the speed that is identified in the very exciting manual on uniform traffic control devices. And this is sort of how we gauge whether people are adhering to speed limits or not. And 10 miles an hour over is a pretty noticeable amount over the posted speed limit. The average daily traffic, so the number of vehicles that use Old Creamery Road on a daily basis, is just under 3,200 vehicles. And in a study period from January 1st to, January 1st of 2019 to November 1st of this year, there were 11 recorded crashes, with 10 of them being property damage only and 1 injury crash. And with that, we are available to take any information and feedback. With the QR code on the slide here will take folks to the survey. For anyone interested, you can alternatively email Christine Doherty. Her email address is here. We are, the survey will be open for responses until December 12th. So, but here tonight, we're happy to hear directly from anyone who's interested. And Brian, I believe, has a map if there's anyone who wants to point out anything specifically in person, so.
That makes sense to actually make that so that it faces.
Yeah, you want to face the crowd?
Do we have a mic for people to speak?
Yeah. Thank you, Nicole. We've seen recently in the Charlotte News that the Vermont State Police have reported problems with speeding on ag rural roads. And also that on the Vermont Department of Transportation, you know, Vermont is listed as 3rd in the nation for crash-related traffic fatalities that are speed-related. So Vermont does have a problem, you know, goes nationwide for speed and fatalities on ag rural roads. So I thank you for making this a, you know, some interest. I've driven down Skunk Hollow Road in Jericho many times. They've done great jobs, you know, with traffic calming on that road, if anyone's not familiar with it. I grew up and I've driven tractors on Oak Hill Road in Williston my entire life. And I can tell you that driving a tractor down Oak Hill Road is life altering.
So this is a public comment meeting. Just wondering what the board's pleasure is. Do we have people come up and speak one at a time at the microphone, or, okay, so.
I mean, it's really important that you speak at the microphone, just
Yeah.
because Mike won't be able to hear you online unless you're sitting at that chair. So it's not just, don't feel embarrassed, we just really need it technically.
Yeah, so if I could ask, if I'm assuming you're pretty much all here to speak, or at least make sure that the right words are spoken. So if I could ask people to start coming up to the microphone, if you could introduce yourself by name and give your input, that'd be great. There are a lot of people here, and so I would ask if you could be succinct and to the point, and I'm not saying to, censor yourself by any, but if you could just keep it somewhat brief so that we can get to as many people as we can. So with that, would anybody like to have the fun of being the first person? Come on up, sir.
My name's Tim Walker. I live at 1259 Old Creamery Road. And every day I feel threatened walking out on that road. I have to go to my mailbox. They come flying down from the gun club and have almost hit me half a dozen times. Or they're so close to me that they can't turn away. It's unbelievable. We have a driveway that we can go around on, thank God, because trying to back out on that road is deadly. It's just unbelievable. I have dogs, I have grandchildren, and they're driving down like crazy. I've even been past, in the double yellow lines down in the flat area there. So I really don't know what to do, but I know that we need to slow down. So I was thinking maybe those electric blinking signs when you go over the speed limit, but I also would love to see speed bumps. I would like to see some way to slow them down. They don't care. They're going to work in the morning and they're coming home in the afternoon, and they don't care about Old Creamery Road. They have other things on their mind. and it's certainly not us. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey Ted, how you doing?
Good?
Scott Spence, Old Creamery Road, 682. So I just want to come up to speed. I want to know a little more about what the project and survey is. Are they looking to upgrade the road or make the road wider? What? I need a little more input, so I don't want
That's the
to.
whole idea behind this, to find out what the solution is to Old Creamery Road. Nobody's come up with any preconceived notion on what the road will be.
Right.
Or what's going to be done. That's what this whole meeting's about.
You know, I know it's a pretty straight road. As far, there's not a lot of turns or curves in it. But my biggest gripe would probably be is the speeders. And it's just way too dangerous. I mean, they come through there. I've called the Williston Police several times, and they come bring their speed sign, and but they just drive through there way too fast. And I know it has. I've been there over 30 years, and I have never seen traffic like we're seeing now. So now it's becoming a bypass from somewheres, whether it's Heinsberg or Richmond, whatever, the other areas. But we're getting a lot more traffic on Old Creamery Road than we used to get. Yeah, so thanks for letting me share and letting me come up to date on this. So I don't know if, if it's widening the roads are going to be better because there is a lot of walkers and a lot of dog walkers, a lot of children, and a lot of bicycles. So, and the road is very narrow. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you.
My name is Matt Omaro, 1782 Old Creamery. We just moved in. I wasn't sure what this meeting was about, but some solutions that came to mind are, how about just putting up like 3 spots for stop signs, 3 ways? That'll stop the speeders. Doing side road work to clear some of the view lines out, and if possible, moving post office boxes instead of being opposite the resident side, making it so that it's on the resident side so people don't have to cross the roads. Problems 1, 2, 3 solved. Thank you.
Thank you. Someone else?
I'm taking a guess here that I'm probably lived on Old Creamery Road longer than anybody in this room. My husband's family moved there in 1945.
Could you give us your name?
I'm Shirley Fortier at 739 Old Creamery Road,
Thank you.
right at the Speedway, in the middle of the Speedway. When we moved there, it was a dirt road, 2-lane dirt road. I have been there since 1960. 8 houses on that road. 4 going up Sunset Hill over to Oak Hill Road. Never had the traffic like we have right now, but I understand it with the number of houses that have been built on Oak Hill Road and the ones in Heinsberg. If I lived up there, I probably would use Old Creamery Road for a shortcut too. Why would I go all the way to the village, come all the way back around, come up Taft's Corners to get to the interstate? I mean, it's just logical. But it's a very dangerous road right now. I live at the corner, well, there's a vacant lot on my corner where you go up Oak Knoll. Between Sunset Hill Drive and Highland Drive, it's flat. It's probably the flattest part of the whole road. People come down off that little knoll right at Sunset Hill, not off Sunset Hill, but that knoll, and they just speed up. And they not only speed up, they floor it and they try to make as much noise. I can identify 3 cars. I can't tell you the license plate numbers, they go too fast. But 2 of them have spoilers on the back, and 2 of them are black. And the other big complaint I have that's really, really dangerous, well, there's 2. One, I live just beyond Oak Knoll on the left-hand side. I have turned my signal light on just before Oak Knoll. I go to turn in my driveway, and 3 times I have been passed. Luckily, I watch my mirrors and I'm used to it happening, but I could have been broadsided very easily had I driven in my driveway. The other thing is the young people, and I'm saying young people that drive not Harleys, but the other bikes. I know there's various brands of them, but they come down that straightaway, sometimes 3 wide, sometimes doing wheelies, front wheels up in the air, and just basically too dadgum fast. I was watching your presentation and you were saying the average speed is 45 miles an hour, 10 miles over. No, no. Be there in the evenings. Be there in the evenings, not rush hour traffic. I'm talking 7 o'clock on when they're doing this. Morning traffic, evening traffic, what I call people going home, going to work, they're pretty good. It's just that we have a number of people on that road that just does not understand the speed limit. And the other thing, police department comes and puts up that little sign about how fast you're going. Let me tell you, there's a few people on that road that's a challenge. They want to see how high up it will go, or if their speedometer is the same. I mean, and I have to say, for all the years I've lived on that road, which is now what? Too many. Very little police patrols. Very little. And I have called, I know Scott's called, I know many of my neighbors have called, and it doesn't necessarily bring them up that way to check. I know you got a lot to cover in this town, but that road has become dangerous, especially between Sunset Hill Drive and the Highland Drive. When they start hitting those curves up by the Snap-on tool place, then they tend to slow down a little bit. But that straightaway, and I'm hoping you don't repave it, because they'll just go even faster.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm Lynn McClintock, and I live off of Sunset Hill Road, and I'm so grateful I wasn't one of the 3 cars you identified. So, I have gone fast. I've worked very hard at going slower because there is a lot of traffic. Pedestrian and the bikes, and I love the bike, but the bikes on that road are part of bigger groups, and they usually go 3 abreast, and the cars don't matter. So that's, I mean, I don't know how you change that, and I love that people are biking, but there's not a friendship between the bikers and the cars, so that's a problem. I don't know the solution. I will say I've been passed many times from where you were talking about to turning onto Sunset Hill Road, and that's, I'm going the speed limit. A concern that hasn't been brought up, well, you kind of brought it up, was if you come off of Sunset Hill Road and you want to turn left, there's that little bit of a knoll, and you have to be very careful because that's where people are starting to speed up. And I've stopped myself several times so I haven't gotten hit because people are going westbound and they don't see you there. So I don't know, I kind of would like to take a bulldozer and kind of take that hill off, it wouldn't solve it, but I think because it's the straightaway, people are picking up speed right there, and if you're coming off of Sunset Hill Road, it's, you can't see up there. And I think Oak Hill Road is tough, because if you're going left, pause, rewind, erase, now you can press play. If you're coming off of Oak Knoll, and you're turning left, you're coming off the corner, and that's where people are starting to speed up too. So I've seen people kind of have to make a jerky stop so they don't get hit. So, I mean, I'm not a fan of the road calming things that Mike was talking about. I don't know that that's a solution, because I think sometimes people like to go faster and see if they can get some air off of the bumps. But the speed is a problem, and lowering the speed limit's not going to change. And 35 seems reasonable, but everyone's in a rush. And the other shortcut they're taking, not only to Heinsberg, but if it's around 5 o'clock, where it's a mess down here, people take a right off of the interstate, come down Old Creamery Road, then take Oak Hill Road to get to the middle of the village. So it's really a shortcut for lots of different ways, and isn't it nice they like where we live, but I wish they would go just a little bit slower. I've never had a problem walking on the road where people haven't, people have been respectful to me, and they've slowed down, and I do go way over to the side, but I'm sure if Angela speaks, she's been walking on that road more than me. Angela, that was my chance for you to get up here. So, it's an issue. I don't know how you solve it. But that, I am concerned about that little bit of a knoll. So, I've rambled.
All right. I wasn't actually going to speak, but I will now. My name's Angela Arsenault. I actually live on Nob Hill, which is right off of Old Creamery. And I walk every day, so that's probably what Lynn is talking about. And I walk from down Nob Hill and just on Old Creamery for the shortest amount of time possible, because I fear for my life. I go on to Sunset Hill Road. But I want to thank all of the drivers who do slow down. There are respectful drivers who see a pedestrian and slow down and pull over and make space. And I'm really grateful for that, because I have my dog with me probably 100% of the time. And he doesn't understand the white line. He's a very smart dog, but he will cross it. And I'm yanking, on the leash, but cars will often pull over, and I really appreciate that. What my dream would be, and I know this is probably one of the more expensive options, but my dream would be a widening of the road and a inclusion of a bike lane, or a bike or pedestrian lane. I can't imagine that there would be real push for sidewalks on one or both sides of that particular road, but there is no shoulder. There's nowhere to go. If you are a walker or a cyclist, there's just nowhere to go that isn't terrain, like grass or now, snow. And I walk in all seasons there, and yeah, there's just nowhere to go. So thanks to the people who do slow down. And I will say it's been, the decision to live in that area, it's a choice. Like, my kids have never been able to bike anywhere, which they hold against me, I think. But I was always like, no way can you bike on Old Creamery Road. So a little widening would be really nice.
Thank you. Other folks?
My name's Justin Hayes. I live at 457, so I'm kind of like right in the bend before Highlands. I'm the Snap-on area, I guess. So I struggle with the traffic that comes through the bend, and it's a little bit of a blind area. My wife likes to go for walks, and she'll just go out for a walk, but it goes immediately up Highlands because of the traffic. I guess, I don't know whether the idea is to change the speed limit or to make it more comfortable to walk, but I don't think widening the road, that's not gonna, in my feeling, it wouldn't encourage, it's gonna keep the idea of the current speed being what it is, which is too fast for the road. I've come home a number of times and there's cars in the ditch by where I live. I don't have a solution, but I don't think in widening the road brings a speed control solution. There's a lot of traffic there. I think a lot of it's also CVU students commuting through. But I guess I didn't really understand whether it was an idea of changing the speed or changing the road width. That part I didn't know what the address was from the proposal.
Yep, that's, so those are all things we're gonna be looking at after we collect everyone's comments. It's the next step of the process. And, so we're taking notes, Jack, all that, so thank you.
It's a challenge where I live to like pull out and head towards 2A to not get, I've a number of times I've had issues where people try to pass a regular vehicle's fine. What I do for work, I have to pull out and take more of the road, which is fine. That's my adjustment, but the driving manners are not ideal. But thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Will Anderson, 620 Old Creamery Road, which makes me Scott's next-door neighbor and also places us squarely at the beginning of the straightaway. Being retired, I'm around a lot during the day and particularly in the summer outside. And my observation is there are three kinds of drivers. There are the family drivers, people like me that are going to town to get something. There are the business commercial drivers, who for the most part are pretty respectful of the speed, but often a little noisy because of the nature of their vehicles. Don't think you can do much about it, but if you could, that'd be great. And then there are the sport drivers. Now, they may think of themselves as doing one of the first or second things, but the fact is they tend to be motorcycles, often multiple numbers, small Japanese cars with spoilers and funny exhaust systems. And the challenge, I think, to you guys is, my observation is, when you put out the speed sign, wow, I can measure my speed. And they take off in front of that thing. Or, in some cases, they go at a respectful speed until they pass it and then hit the gas. I have watched them pass other vehicles on what is ostensibly a no passing zone in front of our house. And it happens regularly. They open up on the straightaway and there's the challenge. Let's pass that guy and go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Speak one more time, Ted.
Super quick, Scott.
Quick.
Yep.
So I just wanted to say, I noticed you guys on the screen, you had a 10-mile variance on the speed limit. Why not lower it down to 30?
Because then
Maybe
you'll
that
have
might,
That was the 85th percentile speed that was monitored, so is,
I've seen a lot of towns with 30 mile. And, you know, speed limits are designed to be adjusted. And, but, you know, I was just throwing it out there that, you know, maybe that might help for a little while.
yeah, so we are doing some speed data collection.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and basically, most of the speeding is rush hour in the morning, people not getting up early enough to get to work on time, so they fly, and coming home at night. So you got 7 a.m. and you got 3 p.m. on. So those two ends of the day is when I'm noticing most of the fast traffic.
Okay.
But thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Michelle Gagney. I live on 70 Oak Knoll Road, which is the corner that connects with Shirley Fortier. She's to my left as we come down that road. My husband runs. He runs on that road. He runs up on Sunset Hill. And he was telling me tonight about how when you go to take a left off there as a runner, it's not safe to do it. You can't see. I'm on the opposite side of, I know you guys have to do something. The best deterrent I've seen so far was when that nice police officer was there last week handing out tickets left and right. Those people were not happy, and it was so quiet for a couple of days. I think if you put one in either end, you're going to sit there and make a bundle of money for the town. I'm not a big fan of the speed tables like they have at Skunk Hollow in our place, because when the plow drivers plow just on our road going up Oak Knoll, they sit there and take off half of our topsoil. I can't see them not sitting there and damaging the very thing you're going to put in to make it so it's supposed to be safer. I agree that maybe, I think you should sit there and stick maybe some sidewalks in there, and I think at the bottom of Oak Knoll where it meets Old Creamery would be ideal for a street light. I know it's probably not something in the town budget, but that would really stop people. They'd have to, because they come down our hill, the delivery drivers and people who live there come down our 25-mile-an-hour hill doing 40 or more miles an hour, and they go right through the stop sign. They don't even stop going on to Old Creamery. And I wait for the day there's going to be a crash with someone on Oak Creamery that connects with someone flying down Oak Knoll.
Hello, my name is Sarah Friend, and I live at 537 Old Creamery Road. I wanted to thank you for putting the signs at the end of both ends of Old Creamery Road for this public hearing. That's the first time I've ever seen that, but I really appreciated that. So some of my concerns, I'm in that stretch that's right between Oak Knoll and Highland, and I walk my dog a lot, I cycle, I walk on my own as well. So my concerns are definitely some safety concerns with some increased speeding and creating measurable safety hazards for pedestrians, cyclists, and residents exiting driveways. Reduce reaction time. There's higher speeds dramatically reduce a driver's ability to stop for unexpected events, and that could be children, people that are walking, but just like turning vehicles as well. Everybody's mentioned a lot of the noise disturbances, like it can even rock some of our windows as some of those motorcyclists are going by. So my suggestions would be some speed bumps, tables, raised crosswalks, radar, speed displays, some narrowing lanes, chokers, some things that makes people slow down. So something in the middle of the road, and then, like they're called chokers, so also on the outside of the road. They're forced to slow down in certain areas. So that would be my suggestion. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Other folks?
Hello, Evan Morrison. I live on Oak Knoll Road. I run, bike frequently from our road, Oak Knoll, up to Sunset Hill. Sometimes I'm pushing a stroller, sometimes I'm by myself. The one turn that scares me every time, especially in the winter when there's a snowbank, is people who are going fast, turning onto Sunset Hill Road from Old Creamery, so taking a right. There's no snowbank, they're coming in with way too much speed. And I think because of the vegetation, they're not seeing what's there, so I've had to jump in the snowbank. So that's the one area for me that I think overall people are nice. People are give space when they see me running, when they see me biking, but that corner they don't see me, so there's nothing they can do. So cutting down some of the vegetation or something like that, I think would be a huge improvement. But thanks.
Thank you. Other people to make a comment? Going once?
Online?
Oh, I'm sorry, is there somebody online?
I'll just double check. I put something in the chat. Anyone online, do you want to make a comment? Kind of last call here.
Can I say one more thing?
Sure, yeah.
Our appropriately tonight, again, Angela Arsenault, Nob Hill Road. I don't know if this is part of the study, and I know nothing about snow plowing, but Old Creamery Road is one of the worst plowed roads in Williston. I think. And I don't know why that is, but I'd wonder I'd love to look at the crash data and see when those crashes happen, what season, because Old Creamery Road is particularly greasy.
Okay, thanks. Is there anybody online?
One person online.
Okay, no, go ahead, come on.
Peter, you'll be next online.
Hi.
Yep, thanks for holding the meeting tonight. Deb Baker Moody. I'm at 576 Old Creamery Road, so I'm right at the end of the turn. So I've had cars in my driveway that have come off that turn. It's frightening, and my mailbox is on the same side as the house, and it's really hard to go out there at night because they come down so fast. So a lot of the same things that people have said. It's also a wildlife corridor. I mean, there are deer and bear that come across Old Creamery. So it's just, it's something bad at some point will happen there. And I think Skunk Hollow Road is a good example. The other place is East Ave in Burlington. I don't know if you've been down that, but they do have like a chicane where they separate it, and there are multiple bumps in it. So, you have to slow down, because I don't think changing the speed limit's going to do it. Thanks.
Okay, great.
Peter, I'm going to connect you. You'll be able to speak in just a moment.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello?
Yep. Hi, Peter. Can you hear us okay?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can. You're on.
Okay, great. Thanks very much. We moved here 38 years ago. We don't live on Old Creamery. We live in Linda Clintock's neighborhood just off Sunset Hill, but we, of course, get a lot of noise from Old Creamery. And I really feel for people who have that all day, every day. I'd like to advocate for lowering the speed limit as step one. As many of you probably recall, I think when we moved here, the speed limit on Old Creamery was 40, and people went 50. It got dropped to 35, people go 45. I think we have to kind of stop it being open season on speeders, that you can do whatever you like because it's a long, straight, nicely paved road. So I think that it's going to be hard for us to get ahead of this problem without taking some fairly significant measures. And I think a 30-mile-an-hour speed limit would be one measure, but I don't believe that we can actually I don't see a solution to this except significant changes to the actual road surface. And a couple of people, Deb and Mike Isham, mentioned the, maybe you might call them chokers, whatever, the traffic calming measures where you actually force the cars to navigate around a minor obstacle. That really makes a big, big difference. And I think we really need those on Old Creamery. And of course, it's going to slow people down, but people will make adjustments. If they have to get to work on time and they know they're going to have to go 30 miles an hour on Old Creamery, that's part of, that's a fact of life then. I believe that we need these things, and that it's only fair to people who have to live on Old Creamery or near Old Creamery, who want to walk, who want to push a baby carriage, who want to bicycle. These people need some respect. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else online?
Nope, no one else. Okay.
Last call for comments in the room. Anybody? No? Okay. Scott, I'm gonna limit. Scott, I'm literally gonna limit you to 30 seconds. So, no.
Oh, so.
30 seconds, go.
So I've come off Sunset Hill, and it's right on the dip, right above Shirley's, on the straightaway there. So Sunset coming on to Old Creamery is right in the middle of the hill, and it's really, really dangerous. You cannot see what's coming over the hill. And it's very, very difficult for people to come out of there. And I've been expecting some really bad accidents there. But I've seen in towns where they put yellow flashing light with a T in the road showing that there's a side road, and the yellow flashing light to let people know to slow down so that people have a little more time to get out of Sunset. I don't live on Sunset, but I'm just bringing it up because my experience.
Yep, okay, thank you. Okay. So with that, I think the public comment section is concluded. What is the next, if I can ask, the next step in the process? Yeah.
Yeah, so today was like, you know, we're early in the process, so it was important for us to get these local concerns on the record. So we'll take, you know, those concerns. We're doing collecting some speed data, some traffic volume data, and those will go into some recommendations, which will come back and present. And there's some alternatives that we'll present. And ultimately, it'll be the town's decision on what's done, but we'll, you know, propose a few options for you guys to consider. So I think we'll, you know, be back around September or February.
February?
Yep, for that meeting.
Okay.
When you collect speed data, do you, is it different times?
Oh, at different times. When we collect speed data, it's actually, we leave these counters out for like a period of time. So usually it's like a week, and it will collect speed data 24 hours while, you know, while it's set up. So we're able to actually look at that and find, you know, at 2 in the morning, somebody, you know, was driving, you know, 80 miles an hour down Old Creek Road.
Okay.
So it does tell us that.
Do you factor in that, that when people see the speed cart, they may be slowing down so that that is not a true reflection of, say, the average possibly? Or is that like, do studies show that that's actually an accurate representation? I don't know.
We haven't seen that. We've put out the speed carts along with covert speed detection, so people don't even know that's there.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen that the difference between the speed cart and what people don't know is there is that much different. We hear that all the time.
So it's
People
so
see
that
the speed cart and they slow
yeah.
down, or they
So it's not a deterrent at all. Those things.
that?
So it's not a deterrent at all. Seeing their speed, not really.
Yeah, I'm not arguing that some people, kids, younger
Sure,
people,
some-
whatever, don't see it, want to speed up,
Right.
or whatever.
Yeah.
But we don't see that the cart itself
Yeah.
makes a whole difference in the speed going down the road. Because the carts detect the speed even before you see it up on the screen a lot of times. So you can even tell how fast they're going, and then it's going to slow down because of the cart that's out there. And sometimes they don't, they just keep right on going. But we've heard that forever. And PD has, like I said, a covert one that you can't see.
Yeah.
So we've done the comparison to see that sign that you can see doesn't really change that, except for, once again, people being goofy, wanting to go faster or whatever.
I must be a sucker. I always slow down when I see them.
But you don't ever speed anyway,
Not
so
much. Just 2 miles an hour.
Okay, all right. Anything else from the board?
We'll plan to share similar to like we did this evening for folks interested in coming back for the next presentation, probably sometime in February, and we'll keep everyone posted on that.
I'm just curious, what is the town being charged for this study?
The study.
I didn't get that question.
What's the cost of the study?
budget for the study. There's a local, I think the town's paying 20%.
Yeah, it was, well, I'm not sure the town's portion, but it was a $50,000 contract through Chittenden County Regional Planning.
So we're paying 10 or 20% of that.
Yeah, it's through a program through the Regional Planning Commission.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I would just like to, thank everyone from the Ag Rural District that came in to speak tonight. I think it just shows that there is a problem in the ag-rural area of the town of Williston. As the Williston grows, we have more and more people coming into Williston to work and to shop. And, more people going to school. And, I think the ag-rural has spoken loud that, something needs to be done. Thank you, everyone who came in to speak.
And the reason we took the variable message boards down on the night before Thanksgiving was that on Tuesday night, somebody decided to use them as a target with paintball guns.
Oops. All right.
So,
Yeah, that's no good.
so take them out, and we're not gonna keep them there over that 4-day weekend.
So thank you, everybody. And actually, folks, if you haven't signed in, if you can sign in on your way out, it's not a crime to not sign in. So I'm not, you're under no obligation, but it does help with the minutes and keeping track of people. So thank you very much.
And feel free to stay for
Yep.
the rest, too.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Lynn.
I thought somebody would take me up on it and stay. I don't know.
So I'm gonna wait a minute.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wait a minute.
Yep.
We are gonna reconvene the meeting and move on to the next agenda item. So.
Yep.
So. Eric, we're gonna have to get back to it. Okay. So if we can move on to the next agenda item of the fiscal year 2027 budget transmittal overview, or as some of us consider it, Christmas morning.
Looking at me.
Yeah. So, Eric?
Thank you to the select board, thank you to our town staff who spent a quite heavy lift to get this together for us every year. This process begins in August and to where we are tonight. So the board has before it a physical copy of the budget proposal. This is the town manager's transmittal for the town charter. The town manager shall submit a draft budget proposal to the select board for the coming fiscal year this time each year. So a reminder, whenever every year, this is the starting point for this discussion. This is not the end point for this discussion. This is the select board's budget that we'll ask the voters to consider at town meeting day, upcoming in March 2026. So what we do every year is we work to analyze all our spending lines in the town and then how to balance that budget with the revenue as well. So what I'll do this evening is there'll also be PDFs of this posted online tomorrow. We wrap those up today and get these things together today. There'll be a public hearing on this draft budget on your January 6th meeting, which I have a slide of the process. So here we are tonight, December 2nd, with the transmittal. This Saturday will be the special meeting where the board will go through department by department. That'll start at 8:30, wrap up around 2. That's a public meeting, be available on Zoom and recorded as well, right here in this room. We'll have the public hearing, as we do every year, on January 6th on the draft. That evening, the board usually has some initial budget work session. I've got some other folks lined up for that evening. Conservation Commission among them to talk about ERF funding. I think Creamery Transit lined up for that evening as well. Some other, as part of the discussion. We have a work session special meeting scheduled for January 13th. Then our target date to finalize and approve the town meeting warning is January 20th. There's also the following week on January 27th as an additional day in January should there be some additional time needed. The warning for town meeting must be posted 30 to 40 days before town meeting, and I believe early voting starts, I think it's early February or so. Check on the date on that. So there's a quick turnaround once the warning's finalized when early voting's available, really once the ballots are printed and in-house here. So as I said, this is a starting point for policy discussion. This is the biggest piece of public policy this board considers every year. It's the town spending plan of how to provide services. We're a service providing government, so we provide critical public services day in and day out to our residents and visitors to our community of Williston. And I'll kind of walk through the binder quickly for the board and the public as you want to review these items online. Really starts out is an overview of the schedule and then an overview of the budget itself. And then there's a detailed transmittal that we work on every year. And this, if you're not going to look at anything else in this budget at the start, I recommend going through the transmittal because it's a high level. It talks really just different policy levers and pressures that the town is looking at and to consider, different elements of the budget, provides context within tax rate, within the county, within the grand list, local option taxes, fund balance, kind of all the major elements that go into bake the proverbial budget pie here. So we work on that every year to really give an overview of what this encompasses. The budget itself is then broken down into summaries by department, by object, like wages, benefits, equipment, programs, and then is an overview here of line by line of what the proposed budget is, what was approved this current fiscal year, the actuals from FY22 to FY24, then the draft actual for FY25. Those are unaudited financials at this point, and once those are audit comes in, that will be updated looking before town meeting day. So then from there you go department by department. Every line item in here, every cent is accounted for. That looks at the overview. You can then look at each line item with comments about what that line item encompasses, how we came up with the line item, and look at the history for those line items. So as a public entity, it's important that we're transparent about how public dollars are budgeted and spent, and this document works to encompass all of that. So this is the draft. These numbers will be up for discussion by the select board. I'll take your direction of where you want to land for the budget that you want to ask the voters to consider in March. And as I've done the last few years, this is what I call a baseline budget. It reflects the cost to provide our current level of services. You'll see in the transmittal, I flagged a couple items that are new services that are built in and outlined. One the board looked at last month was the addition this fiscal year of 2 firefighter positions to assist with our EMS call demand. That's being funded through an increase in ambulance revenue that we've realized the last couple of fiscal years. Those positions will be funded through ambulance revenue in the budget for this proposed FY27, but we need to reflect that expense in the budget now so that that's included in the overall bottom line. And then there's several this year possible service enhancements to consider. This is a priority list I felt were kind of the top items for the select board to think about adding in. You'll see this bottom line is a number where I didn't want to increase it any further to start, so that's decisions for the select board to make if you want to increase this budget any further on the expense side, and then also how that's going to be paid for on the revenue side of the budget. So we'll walk through all that as we go through probably more in-depth review, but you'll see, as we talk about every year, in the community and the level of services we provide, there's certainly a need for the personnel behind delivering those services and thinking strategically how we grow that capacity over time. So I'll go through just high-level overall budget numbers. This proposal is a $1.2 million increase from our current year. It's about 7.8%. Drivers and the cost increase for services, these include personnel costs. That encompasses about 65% of that overall increase number. Capital equipment funding, costs for regional organizations and professional services, things like information technology, legal services, things like Green Mountain Transit on a regional scale. Then I mentioned the fire department peak staffing that were budgeted ambulance revenue to cover that item there. So then some highlights of the revenue picture. This budget model uses about a 3.25 tax rate cent increase on the tax rate per $100 of property value. It uses about $550,000 of our unassigned fund balance. That's a decrease of $75,000 that was used in the FY26 budget. So we had about $625,000 in there as revenue to buy down the tax rate this year. We've eliminated $75,000 of revenue we use from ARPA, now known as Community Projects Fund, for general fund revenue. We stepped that down over several years. We started with $300,000, and conceivably we didn't really need to use that as revenue. It would help balance our budget, but where things ended up at the end of the year, we didn't really need to use it as we budgeted for it. But we've been for years stepping down as that was budgeted, knowing that's one-time money. So we did it a final time we felt for FY26, and this eliminates that revenue line from the FY27 budget to graduate away from that. So between those two revenue streams, that's a reduction of $150,000 in revenue, primarily because it's one-time revenue, it's reserve revenue, and being thoughtful about that in this draft formation. Also, the increase of $350,000 in ambulance revenue is reflected here, and we've budgeted an increase of about $172,000 in local option tax receipts, primarily that it's going to be an additional 5% retention of that revenue, changing from the 70-30 split to a 75-25 split per state statute that changed earlier this year. I've engaged with a consultant to give us a hand with looking at our local option tax data the last several years. I want to try to find a different methodology and thoughts to how to budget for this moving forward. We've been very just kind of looking backwards and reactionary with it and trying to understand different potential economic factors coming up. I'm hoping we can develop a model where we have some more just a methodology that can be more forward-facing. And it's challenging because the town can't receive from the tax department just kind of a detailed breakdown of that, especially for the brick and mortar store and online breakdown as well. But I'm anticipating if this work can be shared with the select board. I'm hoping in January as part of this budget review. I've talked with Jeff Carr in town who's done this work for other communities. So seeing when that can have an update to select board on that piece of it. So looking at this, with this model impact on property taxes, the 3.25 cents per dollars. A reminder, the municipal tax is about 15% of the overall property tax bill. The education tax makes up about 85%. 1 cent on our tax rate raises about $220,000. So we'd like to look at the benchmark for the median assessed home in town the last few years. That's $300,000. This, with that tax rate increase, would mean about a $97 increase over the year in municipal taxes, or about $8 per month. And as I mentioned, the local option tax, and I like to highlight the effect of that for the town each year. I mentioned working with a consultant for some modeling in the revenue in the future. The entirety of our capital fund transfer from the general fund, it's over $700,000 in this budget proposal. It can be looked at as essentially local option tax revenue, since it's all pooled in the general fund. It's one way to look at it. With this local option tax revenue that becomes general fund revenue at the $4.3 million, that offsets the municipal property tax rate by about 20 cents in this FY27 model. So for that same median assessed home, that's about $600 a year that offsets municipal property taxes. Williston's used that method since this was adopted in the early 2000s for local option tax as part of operating revenue. But I've alluded to this last couple of years. A policy question over time is thinking about diverting more of that local option tax revenue for capital and thinking about what that looks like for operating expenses, given this can be a volatile revenue source at times, especially with economic downturns. It's not something to solve in one budget, but more of a longer term thought question for the select board, especially for capital funding streams and debt service streams and larger projects in the future. I include this in the transmittal every year. It just kind of shows with other communities in the county where our municipal property tax rate is in FY26. I've taken the communities that I got kind of full services in the county, police, fire, public works. So it shows where Williston is with our current tax rate. And you'll see the little, carrot mark, I'll call it. Next to some of these are reappraisal in process. Essex Junction, Essex Town, and Colchester all have those in process. As we discussed recently here with the select board, Williston will be putting out an RFP for its reappraisal coming up here. And we'll have a more defined timeline on when that will occur, probably by the spring. So we know when the reappraisal occurs and the grand list increases, conceivably the rate itself will decrease. That's why you see Heinsberg that just completed its reappraisal. Its tax rate is now lowest out of this cohort of communities. And then just a little bit about our capital fund and debt service. There's an increase in this proposal, about $375,000 from the general fund to the capital fund. There's continues to be ongoing capital equipment replacement needs and building ongoing maintenance needs. And this continues to move the capital funding primarily to the general fund, and reserve one-time allocations to project-based and not ongoing needs. The board may recall in the capital budget, we've used fund balance and we've used community projects funds the last couple of years to kind of sprinkle that in for equipment replacement and other elements. This proposal looks to really continue to move all those equipment sinking funds primarily to the general fund. There's still a couple lines that use some fund balance there just to step into it a little bit more. There's one project at the fire station with some door project that is proposed to use fund balances. That's it's a more once every 20 years type of project. So trying to think strategically about that. Certainly recognize it's a jump in the general fund allocation here, but I'm be thinking how to utilize that fund balance as well. There's a debt service reduction as we looked at last year in FY27 due to bonds maturing primarily from the public safety stations that are there were 3 series of those that are maturing. Mentioned in the binder, the second half of your binder is the capital budget proposal. So in there after a transmittal is the debt service schedule. And there's some updates to that from what the board saw looking at the library bond. As we've gotten some more information about potential timing, way we can put this into a couple bond series, how that would land. At the end of the transmittal, in the operating budget, I've flagged that for the board to see what those numbers look like. Similar to what we saw before, but just updated the last couple months. And then some of the downstream planning effects of if the library bond was approved, went to bond sales on that schedule, just overall what that effect is for the general fund in FY28, FY29.
So Eric, are you saying the debt service reduction has been used now in the operating budget, and it's still a 7% increase?
Yep, that's correct. And so those other projects being considered, the library communications tower, its impact on the debt in the future, as I mentioned, will be outlined in the downstream budget discussion, which is part of this overall presentation. So I've also included, and in your physical binder is tucked in our series of memos. These are a paving, or what we call it retreatment needs moving forward from the Public Works Department. There's an analysis in there of what we've been putting towards paving and suggested increases to think about over time for our paving program. That's one thing we'll flag to be looking at. The Environmental Reserve Fund, there's a memo from the Conservation Commission. They'll be at their January 6th meeting to go through their memo. The Housing Trust Fund, there's a request from the Housing Committee about a separate allocation for the Housing Trust Fund. That memo is included as well. I've also included a request from the food bank that was sent in to me in October requesting a line item coverage as well. And the board's received some emails about that. So those are in the appendices of this document. And that is what I prepared for this evening at a high level. We'll get into the numbers in more detail on Saturday, but any initial questions the board has now, or anything
I don't know, you only gave me 72 hours to become an expert on this. No sleeping between now and Saturday.
Questions from the board at this point? Save them for Saturday?
Yep.
No. Okay. All right, thank you. So if there's nothing further on that item, next on the agenda, the Glaser property donation acceptance and warranty deeds.
So this is the Glaser property subdivision specific plan that was approved by the select board. It has its permitting wrapped up. Act 250 permit was just approved last week. So in speaking with the town attorney, the procedural step for the select board, he's prepared a motion I've given to Greta, should you want to consider it this evening. The board needs to take action to formally accept the donation of that property and then authorize the manager to sign the necessary legal documents for that conveyance. I'd likely execute those documents in January, but this is a procedural step for the select board. We'd like to consider that this evening.
Questions for Eric? And Greta, you have a proposed motion?
I do.
Are we ready for the motion, or are there other?
I'd like to hear the motion, and then I might have questions.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll move to approve acceptance of the Jacob and Caitlin Glaser's donation of property and their conveyance of 48.42 acres, more or less, of land generally located at the southwesterly corner of Mountain View Road and Old Stage Road to the town of Williston by warranty deed as required by the Glaser's specific plan and subdivision approvals, to waive recording fees associated with the Glaser's donation/conveyance to the town, and to authorize town manager Eric Wells to execute any and all documents necessary or advisable to close on the donation/conveyance.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Could you just remind me, Eric, I don't remember the details, whether, is this a free and clear, or are there restrictions? I can't remember much about it.
Yeah, so the property part would be for, the overall parcel will be the housing development on part of it, and what the town's conveyed will be kind of the pasture land that's utilized by Windswept Farm. We'll be working on a lease agreement with them to continue that service. And then kind of the 10, 11 acres or so by Mountain View Road, and we've left it so the town could look to develop that into maybe some small amenities there, like a path along the road, maybe a small parking lot, something like a little park in South Burlington.
That's the viewscape place,
The
right?
viewscape.
Yes, I should look at Ellie, she probably knows this back of her hand.
Oh, yeah.
I think we should accept
it.
Is there further discussion? If not, calling the vote, all those in favor say aye.
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 There are no nays. The motion carries.
I'll keep you updated. I think we'll need to post when the conveyance occurs for 30 days. I'll let you know that's
Okay. So next, volunteer appointments.
Well, unless I have it wrong, it all kind of nicely fell into everybody getting what they wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks to Aaron for preparing this very nice guide here with
Yeah.
official motions.
So what I have here is Christine, Health Officer, Jim or James, the DRB, Tim, the Conservation Commission, Dixie on the WCJC Advisory Board, and Kate on the Housing Commission.
Mm-hmm.
I'd also add the DRB alternate position that's open. Pete Kelly, who's currently served on that board for several years, is going to move to the alternate for that. So we didn't have an interview for it, but interesting.
So should that be part of?
Yeah.
There's language down there for DRB alternate, yeah.
And did Chris, take back his application? Does he still want
Yeah, I didn't
something?
hear from him at all. Yeah, we thought he was planning to attend this evening, but I didn't hear from him. So it may have come up.
So it sounds like, given how it did all work out, we do need a series of motions, but it should be straightforward if we can just keep track of proper names and proper roles. So are there motions?
All right, I'm going to go down the list that Aaron created for us. All right, so there's no alternate right now for the CCRPC. So I'll move to appoint Tim Ross to the Conservation Commission for an unexpired 4-year term through June 30th, 2029. I will also move to appoint James Brizzolara to the Development Review Board for an unexpired 3-year term through June 30th, 2026. I will also move to appoint Pete Kelly to the alternate to the Development Review Board effective December 10th, 2025 for an unexpired 3-year term through June 30th, 2027. I'll also move to appoint Christine Campbell as Health Officer for an unexpired 3-year term through June 30th, 2026. I will also move to appoint Catherine Schneider to the Housing Committee for an unexpired 3-year term through June 30th, 2026. And I will also move to appoint Dixie Fowler to the Williston Community Justice Center Advisory Board for an unexpired term through June 30th, 2026.
I missed that. Could you do it again?
Ted, if you
Second.
entertain, Terry McCaig's online. I think he may have something to share with the health officer, procedural component.
Oh,
Okay. We do have a motion that's been made, though.
I
so
can second it.
Okay, motion is made and second. Okay, discussion. Terry, you want to say something at this point?
Terry, I'll connect you to talk. I imagine something with the health officer. Hold on a second.
Terry?
So you just have to unmute.
Yeah.
There we
Let me try that again. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Oh, good. So the motion actually would be to recommend to the Department of Health Commissioner that the appointment of Christine.
Yep.
So I have a friendly amendment that we remove the health officer from Greta's motion, and then we'll do her separately. Does that work?
Yeah,
Sure.
sure.
Yep, okay, great. Okay,
Thanks,
thank you, Terry. So, is there a second to the friendly amendment?
Second.
Right. Any discussion
Second.
on the pending motion or the friendly amendment? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
There are no nays, all the motions carry. And now returning to the health officer issue.
Okay. I'm going to move to recommend to the Commissioner of the Department of Health to appoint Christine Campbell as Health Officer for Williston for an unexpired 3-year term through June 30th, 2026.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
There are no nays, the motion carries. So that
Thank you.
takes care of that.
Thanks, Terry.
Just out of curiosity, there was Christine Campbell said something about being on the Regional Planning Commission. Is that?
I would just encourage her to
Yeah.
consider it. 'Cause
Maybe we can like let her feel this
Yes.
out, and she said she moved in, what, like last week to her
Yeah, well,
house?
you gotta-
So maybe she's busy, I don't know.
You got to get them fast.
Okay, yeah. All right. Okay. So that would bring us to the manager's report.
So the quarterly report for the first quarter of the year is included in your materials. Thanks for Aaron and the department heads for getting that all together. Reminder Saturday, select board meeting, budget review here, 8:30. Anyone's interested in lunch, we can figure that out in the morning. I think we did Panera Bread last year, so we can.
Okay, now I don't want to be the only one who wants lunch. Am I supposed to bring my lunch, or are we ordering lunch?
Order.
Okay, good.
We'll get that figured out in the morning then. Legislative breakfast, I had January 26th, but I heard from Jenny Lyons last week that the Chamber of Commerce has scheduled their legislative breakfast then. So I heard from Jenny and Senator Ron Hinsdale, and I think Angela weighed in at least, that they're available on February 2nd. So my suggestion is to, that works for the board, on February 2nd as the legislative breakfast. That motion. Okay for people. And then a quick word, your meeting in September discussed the Green Mountain Transit and the older adults and persons with disabilities program funding. That continues to be a bit of an moving issue. I know there's been some talk with V-Trans recently about what may be eligible for grant money from them even as soon as January. I need a little more clarity on it this week, but I may have an update on Saturday, just kind of what that looks like. Maybe that a little more from the board, but there's concern that we shared in September about funding for this current fiscal year, and this transmitted budget I gave you this evening increases that line item, I think $35,000 or $40,000, just as a place to begin. I should have some more clarity from V-Trans on what that looks like. I'm hoping by this weekend, and if not, by certainly in January, we get into it some more. And things to discuss with your Mountain Transit that are here as well for your January meeting. That's all I have this evening.
Is there other business?
Oh, yes, of course. Two permits here. One's a, let's see, it's a liquor license application for a holiday gathering on December 4th. The business, 380 Hurricane Lane. It's called Tin Marty Holiday Party. Jared Batavin's catering it. They're expecting about 40 people. Staff has no concerns with this application.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 There are no nays, the motion carries.
And second, I had to table this last meeting, but because we only had 3 people, one was the property owner. It was a wedding at the Isham Family Barn. It's June 3rd of next year, 802 Cocktails is the caterer. Talking about 125 people there.
Staff has no issues?
Nope.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 There are no nays, the motion carries.
Oh, is Mike starting to vote on his own Isham
Yeah,
property?
Mike, you
list?
got it.
Yeah, I don't know he's known it anymore.
We're gonna register
Okay.
that as
I'm just going by the closed caption here. I can't hear very well. So the closed caption is not always accurate.
no harm done.
None meant.
Anything else?
That's it.
Okay, that would bring us to any final thoughts on items from this meeting. Are there any?
I just had a question on the old Creamery road traffic study. This is the first time I've seen one of these in almost 3 years. Is it normal to do it at a select board meeting?
Yeah, you can do that, or you can hold that separately for the local concerns meeting. With the select board meeting, it gives the board an opportunity to hear from the residents.
Yeah, I can see it once in a while, but that could be a lot of our time if it's, okay.
You'll ultimately need to select the preferred alternative.
Right, right.
Anything else?
I really like the parking lot lights.
Yeah.
I like the parking spaces right close to the building.
And then lack of options.
So if there are no other items, then I will declare that we are adjourned 9:02 p.m.
Take care, Mike.
See ya.
Texas.
Okay.